project coordinator at the AI team within the Ministry of Digital Economy and Entrepreneurship, Jordan. That's very interesting because the Islamic Chamber of Commerce, we just had a major event in Jordan on digital economy. I don't know if you were there and met some members of my team, but Omar Qudah is a data scientist with a master's in data science and AI. And as a project coordinator at the Ministry of Digital Economy and Entrepreneurship, he's always looking forward to different ideas, including leveraging Retrieval-Augmented Generation, RAG, and enhanced understanding of the Quran and its applications and challenges. So we'll be looking forward to understand RAG for understanding an enhanced understanding of the Quran.
The subject that I will be talking about actually is also a very interesting one, which is leveraging Retrieval-Augmented Generation, RAG, for enhancing understanding of the Quran. Okay, so this will be the outline of my presentation. I will make a brief introduction about what we're going to talk about, the background of what we have right now, and the motivation why we might use RAG to understanding the Quran. I will also go in some details actually. Okay, so I will go and tell some details how RAG works. I will also mention some applications to Qur'anic studies and challenges and considerations we might need to take. So first of all, I believe we talked a lot today and yesterday about generative AI. Obviously, generative AI excels at creating text responses using large language models, since the transfer architecture first found 2020. Large language models, as we all know, trained on vast amounts of data. Most of this data is unlabeled. Think about large language models, especially when we are talking specific subjects. It has some limitations. We talked about it today. My colleagues, brothers and sisters, talked about it, but I will go fast on these points. Obviously, some of this information is limited to training data, and also we do not have domain-specific information for some domains, like let's say religious studies, like Quran. Okay, so one point we need to know when we talk about the Quran in large language models, when we talk about tafsir. Now we need to know that large language models is trained on very large amount of data. Sorry, and this data we don't know what source they use to train their models. So when it gives good answers, but as you all mentioned, my brothers and sisters, some of these answers are based on what it's trained. We don't know what it was trained on. The data it used to train, we don't know all of this data. Is it a good data? Is it a quality data or not? So what RAG does, it combines retrieval of relevant documents with generative AI. It will enhance the accuracy and relevance by using up-to-date, and in our case, most important, specific information from the knowledge base. Okay. Okay. As I mentioned, large language models first started with the transformers in 2017. RAG started after 3 years in 2020. Now, RAG might not be so most of let's say public will not be familiar with the RAG concept, because it's used in some specific fields, not like large language models, which is used in many fields. Now, current large language about verses in the Quran, as we mentioned, but however, the accuracy of these answers can be limited, as the sources, as I mentioned before, of these large language models might not be transparent or fully known. As I mentioned, we cannot know where the large language model get this information from. We don't know the sources that it used to train. So applying advanced AI techniques like RAG can enhance the quality, can enhance the quality of the answers of the large language models. Okay. So we talked about RAG, but what is it exactly? So what is it exactly? What's RAG exactly? So as I said before, large language models can answer questions from what it learned. It learned on millions of data in its training process. But what RAG does, okay, I will tell the large language models, you have great language capabilities. Please, I want to use these capabilities to answering questions. But I also want you to not give the answers from what you trained only. I will give you some documents, some files. We call it documents in this case. I will give you some documents. Please depend on these documents answering the question of my prompt or the question the user asked. So I will go quickly on the process, how it works. First of all, the user submit a prompt or a query. Now, this query will go to the query to the knowledge base. The prompt is converted to a query, and this query will send to a vector store containing documents represented also as vectors. We need to know this is very important, that in this case the database is represented as vectors. This because it will make it much faster. As you know, when the user sends a prompt, within a second, the answer should be back. So if I send a prompt and I need to retrieve the documents first from, let's say, tafsir box, this will need to happen very fast. So what we're going to do is we will change all these words, transform all of these words. We call it embedding. We transform all these words to what we call vectors. Actually, every word or token will be represented as a number. So we have now vector database. All the words are represented as vectors in the document, okay? So now what we benefit of this is in the next point, which is similarity search. We can now use similarity search. My prompt will be represented as a vector. The tafsir box, let's say, for example, already represented as a vector, as vectors. Now we can compare between these two vectors, and it will retrieve the most, let's say, similar documents. Now, how we're going to choose these documents? It will actually retrieve the top K documents. Now, K is the number of documents. Usually, it's between 4 and 6. Sometimes we might use 3 as the number, as a magic number, maybe 5 documents, but usually not more than 6 documents. Okay, now we have template prompt creation. This means now my question, let's say, for example, I asked a question, what information or what can I benefit from Surah Al-Fatiha? Let's say, for example, or what information do we have in Surah Al-Fatiha? Now, what it's going to do, the large language model here, or this system, it's going to go to the retrieve all the tafsir documents that talk about Surah Al-Fatiha, let's say 5 different tafsir. It will retrieve it back. It will combine it with my prompt and send it to what? To the large language model. Now the large language model have my prompt and 5 documents, for example. This number is just for an example. 5 documents to answer the question. Now the large language model obviously will answer the question, but not based on what it trained, but also based on what documents it have. Okay. So this is the example I just gave. User prompt, what are the key themes in Surah Al-Fatiha? The system converts the prompt into a query and searches for the vector store for related documents. It will go to the tafsir box and give, let's say, 5 documents about from different tafsir. Let's say tafsir Tabari we have, tafsir Ibn Kathir. It will give us 5 documents about Fatiha, as you can see here in this point. It will combine, as I mentioned before, combine the prompt with the documents and send it to the LLM. Now the LLM have the document, the 5, let's say, pages from the 5 different tafsir books, and my prompt. Now, so, a very little point here we need to stop on, let's say, is this is limited. We can't send, let's say, 100 tafsir books, because every large language model have its context window, which means it have a maximum number of tokens, or in another word, it have maximum number of words that it can let's say, process in every prompt and answer. For example, GPT-4 now in some models only have 8K context window, which means 8K tokens, which means around 7,000 words. That include the prompt from the user. That includes, let's say, in our case, the documents it will retrieve, and the answer of the large language model. So in this case, let's say if we have 8,000 tokens, and each page, let's say, for example, 400 words, we can have for the prompt only half of this number of the 8K, because the other half will be the answer. It might be the answer for 4K, let's say, tokens, right, or words. So we might have in this case maybe around 10 documents to from the RAG to the retrieved from our knowledge base to the large language model. Now here I included some examples, some real case examples on why we might need RAG, or why we might use RAG. So, someone might ask, what are the main themes? This is very similar to the last example. What are the main themes of Surah Al-Baqarah? It will provide the primary themes using the tafsir books, as I mentioned. Another question might be, what historical events are referenced in Surah Al-Baqarah? This, I believe, in this question we can see why we need AI. Some people might say we do not need it. Scholars might answer this question. If you need answers for these questions, you can go to the books. But we actually need it for such questions. What historical events? I'm interested. I'm someone who is interested in historical events only for my study, let's say, in Qur'an. So I can ask for historical events. It can retrieve as many documents as it wants. The large language model retrieve as many documents as it wants, and only give me the answer for what I'm interested in. In this case, for example, the historical events. Another one might ask, what scientific phenomena are mentioned in Surah Al-Alaq? He is interested in scientific phenomena, right? So it can from the documents we have, it can retrieve whatever related to, let's say, scientific phenomena, and give me the answer, which is great. Okay, so some challenges and considerations. The alignment with Islamic values, as we said, misinterpretation risk. We all need to know that AI will never reach 100%, and when we talk about Quran and Islam, we need a very high accuracy. Unfortunately, AI will never reach 100%. RAG will improve the percentage very much. It might reach, I don't know, 95 to 99%, but it will never reach 100%. So there always will be a risk. So even if people will use it, they always will need to be they always need to know that there is a risk actually that it might be wrong. Another challenge we have, scholars' acceptance. Will it be accepted? I believe such conferences will increase the awareness about how important such technology might be, but will they accept it? Another one is community trust. As we all know, some people will say we cannot trust AI in religious study and understanding Quran, and sometimes they are right. But as I mentioned, RAG can improve the percentage very much. Finally, implementing RAG with large language model, as I mentioned, offer Muslims unique opportunity to gain a deeper understanding. As I said, they can ask different questions about the Quran and get very great answers based on what we have in tafsir books, not based on what large language model said. This is a very important point. I kept saying again and again because it's very important actually. Another one, regular validation from scholars will also be very important to make sure that that our large language model or our system is aligned with the traditional Islamic teachings and the principles.